So no XCOM this week, but we got a lot of VR stuff because I spent yesterday at an all-day event with Valve playing with the Vive. I played 12 video games in about 6 hours, and basically all of them were incredible. I'm trying to think of
One made you real dizzy.
One made me, oh man. Ironically, it was Elite Dangerous, which is the only game I played at the entire event where I was sitting.
Yeah.
Everything else is like you're standing, you're walking, you got hands, you got whatever. But like sitting in Elite in a cockpit with weird gravity and weird orbital inertia stuff, I don't know, man. Like it was the only time I've ever been wrecked by VR.
I mean, I have to wonder if that has to do with something wrong with the optics, just with your head shape or something like that.
Yeah, or even like the frame rate.
Yeah,
like the refresh or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's possible the frame rate dipped on that and that caused you problems.
Yeah, but it's one of those games that's meant to sort of be like cool stuff in VR. Like you have a boost on your buggy and you do a barrel roll.
No,
and
I've played a bunch of that in with the DK2,
with Oculus,
the Oculus DK2 Developer Kit 2.
Yes.
And I had no problems. Although I'm pretty resistant to motion sickness in general.
I am too. That's why I was surprised. Like I sat down, I was like, I need a ginger tea. Like this will relax my stomach.
If you pre-order the Vive, you actually get a dozen packets of ginger tea.
Perfect.
Did they have at the demo event? Did they have like stuff on hand for like Dramamine?
Oh yeah. So I tweeted like, oh man, that demo wrecked me, and I like in 2 minutes somebody from Valve who I didn't know was like, Mitch, are you okay? I saw that you weren't feeling well. We have ginger tea. There's ginger ale over there. We got little ginger sugar cubes for your coffee.
Why? What is ginger like the miracle cure?
I guess so.
It is good for
dementia.
Nausea, yeah. Not dementia.
No, but dementia.
Dementia.
I don't.
You know why I said that? Bitch knows exactly why I said that.
Because you're becoming demented?
No, he's losing it.
Can't say why I said it, but I said it for a reason.
He's saying it because embargoes. Yeah, but that's the only time I've ever felt motion sickness in VR. But the rest of the time, I was feeling real good because Vive is awesome. Like it just continues to be the coolest thing in the world.
There's more than ginger in that tea.
Oh man, what have you've used Vive?
Yeah, I've used Vive a bunch.
What have you played? Like you've done like the tech demo stuff. Have you played a game yet?
Yeah. I mean, in theory, I played. I did the Valve made demos for Portal 2 and for Dota.
Yeah.
Which were cool, sort of space, like exploring a space kind of thing. I played the Tilt Brush Art Center.
My God, it's so good.
Which I think is incredible. And then I played the game where you Incredible Machine, where you have to build the things.
Fantastic Contraption.
That's just Incredible Machine.
Incredible Machine in VR.
Is the Chinese knockoff of Fantastic.
I think Incredible Machine was like the
original
early '90s PC
game.
Whatchamacallit?
Puzzle game.
Mac and
Dan, I think someone's on your computer because you're editing the show notes right now. I'm looking at it. Dan's Google Doc thing is moving around. You're fine now. Anyway.
Yeah, and I also played the one where you land planes, air traffic control. You wrote about that one yesterday.
Yep, and I keep forgetting the name, and I feel real bad.
Planes, please.
Planes, please. No, it's fun. It's the least remarkable of the games I played in VR, but it's also the most different. Mm-hmm. Like most other games, I'm going to try to find this, but most of the games I played were, first person, usually had some element of combat, but it was very much about being a person. Mm-hmm. And this is parts of that, like you can zoom in on these ships, and then you can become a little firefighter man. You can hose down an airplane that's on fire. But most of the time, it's like a god game where you're like Godzilla size in the ocean and walking around, and you're like, I'm going to use my finger to drag this plane's flight path over here. I'm going to send guys over here to like shoot down drones.
Yeah. So we should, just to be clear, we should throw out there that Vive is a little different from Oculus in that it tracks not just your head position, but the position of your entire body walking around a space.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I'm walking around. I'm holding two controllers. It's tracking my face.
It has these
movements.
2 light sensors. Is that what they are?
They're called lighthouse beacons.
Lighthouse beacons.
And they have basically a strobe laser on them that it uses to track position in the room.
Final Approach is the name of the plane.
Yeah. And so you put 2 of those lighthouse beacons up in like 2 various corners of a room the size of is the space like 10 by 10, a little more, a little less.
Whatever the size of this room is probably what I used
15,
yesterday.
15 by 15.
10 by 10,
yeah.
15 by 15.
And so you are walking around a 3D space and sort of exploring it. And when we were playing what was the ship game called again?
Final Approach.
Final Approach. So yeah, you are like when you're standing up, you are the size of like a Godzilla kaiju kind of thing in a city. But if you like get down on your knees, you're sort of ground level with buildings, and so it's this really cool sense of like size and depth and everything. That's almost like getting right into like a diorama, which I thought was really cool.
Yeah. And they've added new systems as you go deeper into it now. It's like because this is a port of a mobile game, I think. But now they've added more stuff where it's like, okay, you can send a chopper over there to get engineers because those engineers can power a generator that you would otherwise need to go manually do. So you can like go send the chopper over there, move them over there. You can go over to the guns and start shooting down stuff. And it's like you just look and pull triggers, and that's how you shoot stuff down. And there's different guns. And
So to be clear, you don't literally have a kaiju-sized
No,
body.
no. You are not, like,
no.
if you step on
You're
something, it
not a
doesn't get
monster.
destroyed. It's
No,
just your point of
that's
view.
your perspective.
You're a floating head.
You're a floating head.
Yeah.
And floating hands, I guess. Yeah.
Pretty much.
Terrifying.
Yeah, the game is cool, but it's the one where I'm like the least excited to play it again. Like it's cool for sure, but it's just it's one of those like not for me kind of thing.
So reading your write-ups on them, it seems like the ones that were super exciting were more of the first-person like action puzzle-y games.
Yeah, man, like anything with combat really resonated with me. Like I liked Audio Shield a whole lot. Even though it didn't have that, like it's basically this is the next game from the guys who made Audio Surf. It's very much the same idea where it's about matching beats, but you're doing it in first person. It's more physical, and the idea is you hold the controllers and you have the representation is like a giant shield going down your forearm, and they're different colors, and as different colored orbs fly toward you, you block them with those colors. And it's really cool, and it has that kind of physicality to it that you don't get from Audio Surf, or you don't get from other things. And it just feels cool to be like, I'm blocking these things, big sparks are flying, my favorite music is playing because I'm using my playlist. That stuff is cool.
Yeah.
But man, it was like anytime I was holding a gun, it felt weirdly powerful in a way that like most
His neighbor
shooters
said
do not.
he was such a quiet boy.
Yes, for real, dude. And it's funny. We were talking about this because at the end of the event, it was like a bunch of press and devs just hanging out, and the conversations were all about like our favorite games. And the thing that people kept coming back to is like I had a physical primal reaction to a threat in a game, like in Arizona Sunshine, which is it's a decent shooter, pretty cool horror game that's more about like resource management than it is actually being a spooky game because it takes place in broad daylight. So you're managing holding clips and putting them on your ammo belt, which you can put anywhere on your body. And you can just shove ammo into your chest if that's where it is, and then you use that to reload your guns. But if you have two guns, then you have a harder time doing it. And if you run out of ammo, you need to change a gun. It's all about that kind of chaotic Resident Evil style inconvenience to make horror.
And so are zombies after you, or like monsters?
Yeah, and it's like weird undead dudes sprinting at you. And the first time that I was like, oh, I'll take care of these guys over here, bang, bang, bang. And I was getting hit from behind, and I was like, what is that? And I turned around with no bullets, and there was something just screaming in my face. Like I actually recoiled and jumped.
Well,
It's
I mean,
terrifying.
this is the modern equivalent of when you hear about like people running away from the movie theater when they saw a train.
Yeah, when a
driving
train
at
was
them.
coming towards the camera.
Yeah, and it's just
Oh man, I've never heard that. That's really great.
Well, it's the new version of that.
Yeah.
Because but much more real because the whole goal of these virtual reality things is they talk about presence, which is actually fooling your brain into thinking that you're somewhere you are not.
And it's very convincing in Vive, more so than I think in Oculus, because you have this really huge space that you can, like, in your real life you're in a very tiny room.
Yep.
But the illusion is so convincing because of your ability to navigate it and your ability to walk around.
It's really
and
easy
interact.
to forget where you are.
Big time.
Oh,
Like-
so easy.
Yeah, I mean, the first time I put on an Oculus, which John Carmack's crappy duct tape together prototype at E3, I basically forgot where I was in like 10 minutes.
Yeah.
I took it off. I'm like, I'm still in this little room.
How did I get
Yeah.
here?
Yeah, that's
Yeah, it's funny, that whole presence thing too, and tricking your brain. At CES, Alana and I played, and she was doing one of it was like a deep sea. It was just sort of like the experience thing, and you're on the top of a ship that's at like the bottom of the ocean. You're sort of just walking around the deck of this submerged ship, and like you can walk to the edge and sort of look over it. And she like kept like tiptoeing and then
Oh, yeah,
looking,
like as though you're gonna fall.
And I'm like, you can keep walking. She's like, well, I don't wanna.
Did you
I'm
shove
like,
her?
you know what room you're in?
No, that's why the Portal demo, and there was something else in I can't remember what demo I played at Valve, but it was like the floor crumbled out from beneath me,
and
I freaked out.
And it's like, obviously, you're fine, and that you're still just in a dumb room with dumb carpet. But like,
and
man, you're kind of spooked.
When stuff like that happens in like Call of Duty, right? Like you're climbing a mountain and something like your foot, the thing beneath you crumbles out, and you get that like, I used the cliff hook. Axe
cliff
to like
hook.
save myself, like the old cliff hook. Like that's a cool moment, but it's not a scary one. Whereas
Yeah.
if that were to happen in VR, it would be horrifying.
Yeah.
Yep.
That kind of stuff is great because and I think that's what makes it so satisfying to play a shooter, because you have usually dual wielding because it feels really badass, and you use your actual body to move out of the way of incoming fire, to hide behind cover, to protect yourself. And in that regard, it feels really good if you're in a multiplayer game, like Hover Junkers is really cool. It's like everyone has a skiff, and they're all just like running around this like on their hovercrafts navigating this big Mad Max wasteland, and they've all got like crappy pistols and big gigantic hilarious Borderlands shotguns, and they're trying to drive their cars around and kill each other. But all the while you're putting up different pieces of cover, getting attacked from all sides, and you can do co-op. So like Marty could be driving and building while I'm like fending off incoming attackers. And that is really cool because when you get a kill, it's like I was hiding behind cover and I could hear the bullets hitting the metal, and it felt really good to dodge those because when I turned around the corner and I got that shot, I felt like I had a better shot than that guy. I felt like I was smarter about cover. I felt like he was out of position. It feels so much better than your average cover-based shooter to have that experience.
Yeah.
Because of how convinced you are that it's real.
Yeah, a little bit of that paintball sensation in the first
Yeah.
person.
Yeah, totally.
Like how active was it? Like, were you getting tired? I mean, obviously you were doing 12 demos back to back to back.
Sure. I mean, I was tired at the end of the day, but it was we did 15-minute demos, so it wasn't enough time to get tired. Like, I still felt like by the time I was done with my Hover Drunkers demo, I was really disappointed because I felt like, oh, that was like the warm up before the match actually started.
Yeah.
And I really wanted to keep playing more. I think the most physically active I was when I was playing Space Pirate Trainer.
Okay.
And it's the most simple mechanical game they had there. It's literally, okay, you have two guns, and there are flying droids that are attacking you, and all you have to do is shoot them to protect the ship behind you. Don't ever get shot. And they were like, oh, and if you reach behind you and pull your trigger, you can pull out a big shield, and it deflects lasers that are coming at you. So I played it, to begin with, really, really passive. And I would use the like burst fire pistol to shoot at the enemies and use the shield to defend myself against fire. And when I kept dying, they were like, hey, you can like move, right?
Yeah.
And it clicked like, oh, I am thinking about this game wrong. Right. And what I ended up doing was I left the shield, I went full offense, and I realized I could change the fire mode. So I changed both my pistols to like a charged laser beam thing. So it's like hold it for a second and then shoot a beam, and it's a one-hit kill every time, no matter what. And it feels so cool to literally like crouch down, lean to the side to dodge whatever incoming fire is happening, and then shoot a charged, super precise shot and land it without like looking down the sights. Like that feeling is unbelievable, and it's unlike anything I've ever felt in a game.
That's awesome.